Now, there's been a lot of people saying that the people hate Joe Rogan. Why? Because he's more popular and more successful than they are. And he's to the left of both parties. He's to the left of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And you can't do that. If you do that, you're called a white supremacist, racist, misogynist. Like that. And now they call him anti-vax. So do you think that they want you to think that Joe Rogan is some kind of right-winger? And people who never listen to Joe Rogan firmly believe he's a right-winger. He's some crazy asshole right-winger. And, well, here he is with Sanjay Gupta. By the way, he brought Sanjay Gupta on his show and talked for 3 hours. Do you think CNN would ever bring on Dr. Malone for 3 hours or Dr. McCullough for 3 hours or any of the people that Joe Rogan brings? They ever think they never bring on any of the people Joe Rogan brings on, but Joe Rogan brings on them. So here's what Joe Rogan has to say about being called a right-winger.
The Jon Stewart bit.
He went crazy.
I love Jon Stewart.
I mean,
that was amazing.
That surprised me a little bit because he's usually, he's a comedian, but he's usually kind of modulated here.
Well, Jon Stewart, a lot of people forget, when he was on The Daily Show, was honest and balanced. He's very left-wing leaning, as am I, but he is very honest.
I didn't know you were left-wing leaning.
I'm 100% left-wing.
What did he think he was?
So, Sanjay Gupta, I didn't know you were left-wing leaning. Why? Because I never listened to your show.
You don't sound like left-wing according to the box we built for you to be in if you're left-wing.
Now, I knew that. So, anyway, here we go.
I get labeled that way because of my position on guns and some of the things, but I'm very pro-choice. I'm very women's rights, civil rights, gay rights, trans rights. I'm even universal health care, universal basic income. I think we're going to come to a point in time where I think Andrew Yang has some really good points about automation and elimination of jobs. And I also think that we should take into consideration, like, where do our tax dollars go? And if people just had their basic needs met, would that give them more of an opportunity to pursue innovation and creativity and other goals? Or would that, with a negative perspective, would that encourage people to be lazy? I mean, I think it's something to be considered, like whether or not people who are ambitious would always be ambitious. I don't know. I think there's a certain amount of discussion to be had about all these topics, but my parents were hippies. I grew up I lived in San Francisco from age 7 to 11 during the Vietnam War. And the hippies were, that's like a formative period of my youth. And I'm always going to be open to anyone's choices. I want people to live their life as genuinely and authentically as they feel represents who they really are. That's why I'm left-leaning.
Yeah.
And that's why I've never voted for a Republican ever.
So that's hopefully that will disabuse you of that stupid propaganda smear that people throw at Joe Rogan.
That's a dog whistle.
And here I will be playing the role of Dr. Sanjay Gupta in this clip.
Friends. I'd rather talk to my friends.
Yeah, I know. I get a boner.
I like Tulsi and I like Bernie. That's it.
Oh yeah?
Everybody else can eat shit.
Look at you, fucking progressive.
Yeah. Well, I've always been. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Everyone says you're a right winger.
They're out of their fucking mind. I've never voted right wing in my life.
Really?
Never. I voted Democrat except for independent. I voted for Gary Johnson because he did my podcast.
People don't realize how powerful. I'm not right wing at all. Oh, okay.
No,
that's wild.
No, there's nothing about me that's right wing.
You kill your own food.
That's it. Well, that's crazy. The 95+% of the population of the planet eats meat. I just happen to kill my own. Yeah, that's it.
So
it's not like 95% of the population is right wing because they kill their own food. I think there's a lot of right wing like family values and things like that I admire. I think, but when it gets to homophobia, when it gets to women's rights, that's where I break. Right? I'm 100% in favor of women's rights, 100% in favor of gay rights, gay marriage. I'm a big proponent of there's got to be some new action taken to clean up a lot of these crime-ridden communities.
And the idea that we can spend all this money overseas, but we can't spend money on Flint, Michigan, or Detroit, or the south side of Chicago, that to me is insane. That doesn't make any sense. And this idea that we're all on the same starting page is so fucking stupid too. That is a very non-right-wing way of looking at it, because everybody's like, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. There's a lot of people that came out of bad neighborhoods, but they didn't fucking cry, woe is me. They just went out there and they kicked ass. That's nonsense. You have no idea what it's like to grow up in a crime-ridden, poverty-infested, drug-addled neighborhood. You don't know what that's like, and we should make it so that no one knows what that's like. If we want America better, the best way to start is to clean up all the spots that suck and make people that are coming out of there have a real chance at making something out of their life. Don't have it so that they're starting out from the time they're a child with a massive deficit.
Boy, that's what a crazy right-wing Nazi that guy sounds like, huh? Boy, I was afraid he was about to ask me for my papers.
Were you like Dr. Sanjay? You thought he was going to attack you?
I thought he was going to come across the table and attack me. I was scared for myself. I thought he was going to force feed me ivermectin.
I bought his merch. I was so scared.
Yeah. So there's the guy everybody calls a right-wing crazy. They're 100% wrong about it. And now you know, if they can make you think that a Nobel Prize-winning medicine is horse poison, they can make you think he's a crazy right-winger. They can make you think the president's not demented. That's the power of propaganda. And he's a big problem for them. And if anybody becomes a problem for the establishment, what do they immediately do? They immediately smear him as a white supremacist, a racist, a fringe guy. And I wonder what else they're going to... Because that's what they did to me. That's what they did to him. That's what they do to anybody and everybody who gets to their left. And Joe Rogan is to the left of the Democratic Party, and he's to the left of the Republican Party. He's to the left of the establishment. And he's got a huge voice and an audience, and they can't control him, and that's why they're trying to control him. Why did they take the dislikes away from the videos on YouTube? Because they can't control the narrative if you get to have a voice. And this is about the establishment keeping control of the narrative. Because if they lose control of the narrative, they're going to end up with their city shut down, like what's happening in Ottawa, Canada right now. Because they lost control of the narrative. And now they're trying to get it back. And how do they do it? They make you think those truckers are all Nazis and white supremacists and crazy Trumpers and every bad thing in the world. Violent, extremists, fringe, nuts. They're the exact opposite of that. They're the people who you were thanking and calling them heroes for working through COVID. They're courageous and they have integrity. And so now you know the rest of the story about Joe Rogan. Anything you want to say, Kurt?
I keep thinking, I saw Chris Hedges on here a long time ago when he was talking about protesting, and he's like, it's not supposed to be catharsis. Because that's the thing that gets encouraged is go out, break some stuff, and here's some bricks. Mm-hmm. And that's because that's not dangerous to the establishment. That gets them more funding and gets more cops. This... if I think of all the people who are like, well, peaceful protest isn't even, this is bringing them to their knees right now. That's why they're freaking out.
Yes.
Because they're not doing anything violent.
Right.
Like, that's why they had to kill Jesus.
That's right.
Martin Luther King or when Malcolm X was like, hey, we can get along now. Then he had to go. That's how that works.
100%. Hey, we're doing live stand-up shows in Los Angeles, February 5th, February 12th, February 18th, February 20th, we're in Philadelphia, and then February 26th, back here in Los Angeles in Studio City at our 60-seat theater. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all tickets, and while you're there, become a premium member, get access to all our premium content.